the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. With your hosts, Joe Bond.
You're awful.
And AJ Applegarth.
It's Sin Shu Chu. It's a mouthful.
I don't even know where to start. Welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me is the sweater. I think his name's AJ Applegarth. What's up, man? Don't do that.
I'm looking for
nobody's.
I'm looking for the switch. Oh,
It's lighting up. We
right
see
here.
it. Anyway.
Yes, it is indeed. It's lighting up.
All right, so it is week 16, not the finals of your fantasy football season. It is the semifinals. Congratulations if you got through the week 15 hell, or if you had a bye week. AJ, congrats to that in our crab cake league, because that was hell. I somehow made it through.
Did you see the score that I somehow managed? 60 something?
Yeah, aren't you glad you didn't play? Yeah, no kidding, right?
Okay.
That would have been, yeah.
I would have been dashed faster than my Scott Fish appearance in the playoffs.
I beat, yeah. Anyway, I beat Jeff, who literally had, I think, after week 3 of the season, when he started out 0-3, he had the second highest points the rest of the way. His team was on fire.
Yeah.
And of course I beat him because it's week 15 and COVID and whatever other crap happened. There's a guy who put out, well, I'll get to that later. I've got a rant later for that. But right now we are watching the 49ers and the Tennessee Titans. It is the 49ers 10, Titans 0. The return of A.J. Brown and Julio Jones on the same offense for the first time since week 9, I believe. Not helping. I'm not shocked.
Does not matter.
I think Jeff Wilson's been the lone touchdown scorer here. He scored early. Other than that, not a lot going on. So, I expect a little more offense in the second half, some more Debo. In fact, there's Debo now running the ball. So, but yeah, let's get moving here. Before we move on, though, got to remind everybody, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, follow button, give us those ratings on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, you name it. We are probably there, so we appreciate the support. And let's bring on our guest of the hour, and it is Mr. Dave Eddy. What is up, man?
That's not what my name says, Joe.
I'm not calling you that.
All right.
Duff's daddy.
There you go.
Love it.
Yeah.
Who's Doofus daddy?
Love it.
Just kidding.
Anyway, Dave, what is up, man? By the way, for those of you who do not know, Dave is a premier DFS player. Mentioned, that's why the name is here. He also is the director of Dynasty Baseball at Fantasy Six-Pack. He's got a great team there. We're ramping up the Dynasty Baseball articles here in the next week or so. So definitely check that out. His rankings are already posted. The prospect rankings are already posted. So Dynasty never dies. So you gotta keep on it. Let's before we move on, let's do our beer of the week.
Beer.
And I know, Dave, you said yours wasn't exciting, but you know what? Go for it anyway, man. What you got?
Well, anyone that's a veteran of the show that remembers me on here knows what I have already. So we'll make it brief
Right.
because it's simple. Yeah, see, AJ knows. It's just that's it, man. This is like I said earlier. This is the only time I drink is when I come on this show. So, this I probably bought this 6-pack.
I'm glad we could help.
I probably bought the 6-pack of this a few months ago. Last time I was on.
All right, AJ.
Sorry, did you say a 6-pack lasts you a few months?
Yeah, a 6-pack would be six appearances on this show.
Yeah.
So he's got 4 left.
So yeah,
That's what
I
that
got
means.
a
need
bunch
to
left.
probably stop drinking for like 6 years to be able to get back to that. And that's not happening.
AJ,
Especially not tonight with the cooler of Christmas.
That is, you can't even close. It's so full.
Well, I can. I'm just it's a pain in the ass to close if I'm gonna just open it. So we're gonna start our night with the day 2 of my 12 days of IPA with this Stone Delicious IPA. And I'm just going to interrupt you guys during the show when I crack open new ones. So we'll
I look forward to it.
I'm AJ will be fun at the end.
I will be hammered.
So
hopefully.
Merry Christmas, everybody. So I'm drinking a brew from the collaboration of 2 Maryland breweries right around here, Black Flag Brewing and Kushwa, 2 that I've had very frequently on the show here. This is an Exploration of Matter. It's a hazy triple IPA with concentrated hop oil. I had no idea what hop oil was, but it sounded interesting. So
it's like
yeah, I'm good.
It's like olive oil, but instead of from olives, it's from hops.
Thank you. But I've never seen it in beer. So there we go. Something new.
Do you see it in the beer right now, or are you just drinking it in the mixture of the beer?
Right.
Yeah. So maybe I've already been drinking. I don't know.
No kidding. Now we know why you were 30 minutes late. Anyway, hit us up with that. Our next topic, man. What do we got? All
right. Our next topic here is, of course, our favorite topic, and that is Hi, Aloysius. Aloysius says hello.
What did you just do?
I'm moving the wrong way. Damn it. This is the longest read of all time. Merry Christmas from Manscaped, everybody. Get your Christmas balls in order, hanging from that tree. You need them crisp and clean. You need them shiny. You need them to enlighten everything in your Santa sack this year. We're talking body wash. We got shampoo and conditioner in one. We've got our friend, the Lawnmower 4.0. Of course, we've got decorations of crop mop throughout my Christmas tree back here with my choir singers. And let's not forget this little treat, little nose trimmy trim. Gotta be trimming. Get your trees trimmed for the holidays. Okay, ears, nose, other. That's all Mike. But either way, Manscaped, do it. Code is still rocking right now. 20% off. You got free shipping. Use our promo code here, F6P20. That is F number 6, letter P, number 2, number 0. Free shipping, 20% off. You cannot go wrong with this deal. Your balls will thank you. Manscaped.
Speaking of balls.
Yes.
Dave's got plenty of them behind him.
I got plenty of balls.
Are they neatly trimmed? It looks like they are.
Yes.
They've been manscaped.
Pen and autograph ink.
Alrighty. So let's jump to it, man. And week 15.
This is a delicious IPA.
As we were, as it says so on the label.
Don't mind me.
As we were alluding to, week 15, the absolute shit show of it. There was somebody, and I'm trying to find it. I put him in our Slack channel. And of course, Mike, with all his news updates, have sunk them, so I can't find them now. Here we go.
Why you pin things,
Mike? Jeez, kidding.
How dare you give us
anyway?
Updated news?
So Scott Rainier tweeted out these charts of the top 24 players for running backs, top so on for receivers and running tight quarterbacks, I believe. The difference in points from the players' averages to what they actually scored last week, it's all in the red, and the red by quite a lot for most of these players. Last week was crappy. You mentioned Scott Fishbowl, and sadly, my number 4 overall team at the end of the regular season was knocked the F out thanks to a -8 from Mr. Tom Brady. Oh, yeah, that was fun to watch. I was so mad Sunday night. Like, couldn't believe it. Or was it Saturday? Was that Saturday?
That was Saturday. Yep.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was Sunday.
Sunday night, yeah.
Former team, Saturday.
Sunday night. Like, I went in, so I watched the Saturday night game, right? And I watched Kelsey and Hill and all the guys go off. And I was like, oh, man, that puts me in a big hole. Because I knew a bunch of people had them in the conference or in the playoffs that I was in. And I'm going like, oh, no, I don't know if my team can do it because I didn't have Elijah Mitchell, didn't have Waller. And I was like, I don't know. And I got great games out of Gabe Davis. I got great games out of Gage. I got good enough games out of James Robinson and Eckler. And I was like, all right, okay. I'm right there. I'm right off the border, off the cutoff line. I got Brady and Hill and Gronk and Kupp and DK Metcalf left. And I was like, I think I'm good. Yeah. Between Hill, Brady, and Gronk, I think I got a total of -2. Sunk. I still missed it. I still only missed the cutoff into the next round by like 8 points. Yeah. Unbelievable. Probably better off it happened, though, because this week I would have been without Eckler, it sounds like. Brady lost half his offense. Like, team's going in the wrong direction, so it's just not good. It's just bad, man.
Speaking of Brady, though, would you have even played him this week?
Let's
week? Just jump back out of the shit into deeper shit.
I mean, I think I would have had
so
to play him.
It's
It's a super flex. I have to. Before we move on, though, real quick, we do have a question from Shane Clark, just tuning in. Do you guys think Tyreek Hill will play? If not, who do you play in PPR? Pittman, St.Brown, or Gage? I mean, it's anybody's guess right now what's happening in Kansas City. Out of those 3, I think I go St. Brown. I'm really liking him this week. What do you guys think?
I was leaning that way.
He's been crushing it.
Yeah, I mean, Wentz kind of scares me a little bit still, so Pittman gets knocked down a notch. But yeah, St. Brown's been awesome.
Dave, I know Detroit, but
well, yeah,
I gotta recognize.
I think it depends on if Goff plays. So
Right.
I think Goff is going to play. If he plays, I think it's St. Brown. If Goff doesn't play, I think you literally can flip a coin between Pittman and Gage.
I do too.
I think Pittman's got the higher ceiling if you're chasing points. Gage has probably got the higher floor if you're just trying to put some on the board.
Yeah, I kind of go Gage there. I mean, he's been performing very well, this last half of the season. So, kind of lean him. But yeah, that's a tough call between Pittman and Gage there. Honestly, Pittman, they just don't really score through the air. I mean, obviously it's all JT on the ground, so that kind of hurts Pittman there. So.
I feel like this is one of Dave's friends. He planted in there so we can get us talking about St. Brown.
No, he never wants to talk about Detroit. I know.
I don't have friends, Mike, so that you can rule that out.
Lies. I'm your friend, Dave.
Aw, it's Christmas season.
Yep.
Season of giving.
Tis the season for romance.
Yeah, why not? Let's go.
All right. So yes, AJ.
Take off the sweater here.
Oh my gosh, no. So AJ, as you were getting to Tampa Bay, trouble in Tampa Bay. We've obviously got Chris Godwin done for the year, ACL. Fournette landed on the IR with a hamstring injury. He's probably going to come back for the playoffs. Mike Evans is dealing with a hamstring injury, so we don't know if he's going to play. Now we do get AB back, but it's how effective is he going to be? And I guess that's the first question. Like, is in really when it comes to trusting Tom Brady going forward here is with Antonio Brown returning, even if Evans doesn't play, like, is that enough to just automatically throw out Tom Brady? AJ, what do you think?
Yeah,
I think it is, honestly. I mean, Brady's just been down these past few weeks, and he's been very un-Brady-like. Now, maybe that's just him playing mindfuckery on the league and thinking that, oh, well, the GOAT's just finally showing his age. And and then he's just going to march to another Super Bowl championship, which I hope doesn't happen. But, I mean, this team had so many weapons going into this year because of the Super Bowl win, because everybody decided to get back on board and stay here, or stay there and keep playing together. It's definitely going to hurt. He's going to have Gronk, but that's about it. I mean, are you looking at Johnson, Scotty Miller, Rojo?
Yeah, we'll get to
Keyshawn
Rojo in a little
Vaughn?
bit. Keyshawn Vaughn.
I mean,
no, they freaking signed Le'Veon Bell. They obviously don't like Keyshawn Vaughn. I wouldn't either after I watched him on Sunday night. Jeez, that was horrible.
You got to be Christmas me. This is some bull, mother. God, hey. And then he's like out at a Kevin Hart show somewhere. I mean, whatever. But yeah, I don't think I'm trusting Brady this week.
Dave, any other thoughts about Brady? Like, I mean, look at it from like a redraft standpoint, right? Like, you've probably got him, and I don't know who else you would possibly have on your roster at this point with him. But you've probably thought you've made the playoffs. You've got Tom Brady as your ace in the hole. The weeks leading up to last week, 28 against Atlanta, 30 against Buffalo, and then puts off in normal leagues scoring 4. Granted, that game was just total garbage. I mean, so do you just go back to it, not expecting 28 and 30, but maybe hoping like in the high teens, the low 20s, maybe? Like, it's Tom Brady. Like, he's made better with worse, I would say.
I mean, I think I have a different perspective on things from the average person, because I don't typically ever look at things for football from a macro point of view. For me, it's always at a micro view, because I'm looking at things literally just week to week in DFS. I'm not looking ahead to week 17. So for me, I'm looking at just this week against the Panthers. And for me, I am 100% off of all the Bucks. I don't know if you want me to get in any detail about that at all. I know we talked about it a little bit before the show, but long story short, I just don't see it happening for the Bucks this week. So, if we're talking redraft, then obviously it kind of just depends on who your other quarterback options are. You may have to play Brady. You might have another similar option. But for like DFS purposes and stuff, I'm not touching Brady. And I would be surprised if I have any Bucks anywhere this week.
Yeah. I mean, I've still got him ranked pretty high. I'm kind of hoping Evans plays. If Evans doesn't play, I might drop him to the back end of the QB1s. But, I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I guarantee I'm going to get a lot of questions come Sunday about, Brady. Do I start Brady or so-and-so or so-and-so? I mean, I got a bunch of questions already. Like, people really want to start like Jimmy G and Tannehill, and I'm like, well, I'm not going that far. But
I would have started Jimmy G if I had to choose this week, and I had to start Jimmy G tonight or wait on Brady. I'd have started Jimmy G in a heartbeat.
Yeah, he wasn't going there yet.
I would have, man. I mean, I've got Ayuk, I've got Kittle, I've got Debo against a much softer D. I would have started Jimmy G over Brady under the circumstances for sure.
Yeah, it really is a tough call. Now moving over to that running back side now, right? So Rojo, right? He's coming in. He's going to be the guy. Yeah, at least we would hope so. Like, I really doubt Lev Bell really makes an impact. Vaughn is garbage. I haven't actually seen any update on oh god, what's his name? The pass catching back who got hurt. Is
Bernard?
Bernard, is he done?
No, he's done.
No.
No,
I'm pretty sure. Well, hey, so here's the weird thing, right? So last week, this week, and probably for the rest of the season, things change, at a moment's notice.
Giovanni Bernard's on the IR. So
Last-
he's hip and knee.
Well, last I heard, which was today, they were expecting, Rojo to basically play first and second down and Bernard to handle the third down. Dude, they were talking about that today.
9 days ago, he hit the IR, so he's not playing. So it's him and
right.
Vaughn and Lev Bell. So look, Rojo was actually, if people quickly have forgotten this, Rojo was the better running back during the regular season last year, and he was actually a usable player. He wasn't as usable as, say, Leonard Fournette has been this season, but can Rojo jump into this offense and be somebody who can be trusted down the stretch here in the fantasy playoffs? Dave, what's your thoughts?
Well, again, from a macro point of view, down the stretch for your redraft teams, yeah, absolutely. I don't see why not. That offense is going to be different without Godwin there. We'll see what happens with Evans. And then there's no Fournette. So the reality is, unless he gives Arians a reason not to give him a bunch of touches, he's going to get the touches.
Yeah, I mean, even last week he got 18 for 80 and a touch. So, yeah. I mean, like, he's just not going to be much of a pass catcher like Fournette was, which hurts his ceiling. But I mean, that was last year. Sorry, my bad. Last week he went 8 for 63. Sorry, I clicked on 2020 and then looked at week 15, and shockingly that was like the last week he played. But no, last year he had like a 15-point game, a 14-point game, a 25-point game, another 10. Like he had some good other games after, like, mixed in there too. So like he was the far better back last year. He just has done nothing this year. So whatever. I don't know. I kind of like him this week. I mean, AJ, what's your thoughts?
To me, it'd be a bit of a reach play, but at the same time, there's so many running back injuries that we talk about every week.
Right.
I don't hate it. I don't necessarily love it either. I feel like if I'm in the playoffs and I have to rely on Rojo to get me to the next round, I'm kind of nervous about this week. Getting to the championship.
I think there's a lot of people nervous this week.
Thankfully, they've been a pretty strong, play against offensive teams, and it's just you can't take them for granted. You can't take any team for granted. I mean, hell,
don't say it.
Don't say it. Look at what Arizona's done all year. And then they go in and they lay an egg.
Why do you gotta ruin my number one draft pick mojo like that?
I love that Detroit beat them. Honestly, I think that's the best game of the season.
You and Jaguar fans are the only people that feel that way.
I still think Detroit's going to get the number one draft pick.
Oh, let's go Jets.
Yeah. Braxton Berrios season. What's up?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, look, I like Rojo's upside this week. I'm a little more bullish on the Bucs figuring things out without Godwin, without Fournette. Keeping, maybe they're not as good of an offense, but I think they can still keep things going. I know Carolina's defense has been tough, but I mean, Brady usually figures things out, man. He's not the GOAT for nothing, right?
Brady usually has guys to throw the ball to.
Yeah, that's what helped.
Didn't always in New England, man, and like he somehow figured things out. Like
I don't know. I believe he had
how many years?
Julian
Edelman, Randy Moss.
But he will at least look. He will at least have AB. So like there were plenty of times in New England where he only had one guy. Right, and then everybody else was like
out for quite a while. It's not like Antonio Brown's just healthy. Let's not overstate his impact there. And with Stephon Gilmore probably just shadowing him, I mean, I don't know, man. I like I said earlier, I am way off the Bucs this week, and that includes Rojo.
Yeah, I mean, look, in DFS, I'm probably not touching them. We'll get into it, but I think in season long, like I think they are very viable plays. There's even some in DFS that I think I disagree with you on, Dave. But moving over here to the next topic is I just want to quick ask everybody's thoughts about the first game of the Jags without Urban Meyer. Like, do we like what we saw, from this team? Any positives? Dave, I'll start with you.
I mean, probably if you're the players, you probably love and hate it because the guy was a dick, so you're probably glad he's gone. But you probably missed all the strippers in the locker room after the game.
Man.
You know what I mean? You take the good with the bad.
What do you mean we got to pay for our own strippers?
Yeah.
Damn it. Get Urban back here.
I'll mention one positive for me, and I was hoping to see more from Trevor Lawrence. It wasn't a great game. It wasn't definitely not his worst game either. He just can't score, but whatever. The biggest positive to take away from this is the usage for James Robinson was right back to where we all really wanted to see it. And so, he's just been in the doghouse, and some of it was fumbles, but he's been in the doghouse for a while and just not really performing, but, got the usage that we all really were used to early on. So I really liked that for him going forward, and for those people who have him in their playoff lineups. That's something, and I think you're going to see continue moving forward. I don't see any reason why they would continue to run out, Carlos Hyde as much. Of course, Hyde's on the, injured reserve this week because of a concussion, so that's going to help even more if he can't play. But I still think you can rely on James Robinson moving forward. AJ, any other thoughts here with this team?
Just hide your vaccines, hide your ankles. No. No, I agree with both points. I mean, I'd like to see Lawrence kind of grow a little bit more.
Yeah.
At the end of the year here, they have, I would say they have no reason not to trot him out there and play him, because they're obviously not going anywhere, and they want to preserve their franchise quarterback. Or on the flip side, if they still are trying to figure out if he is going to be the franchise quarterback, then they need to trot him out there and see what he can do. I think overall, the team is just not good. The talent,
clearly not.
The talent level is just not there like it was, a handful of years ago. Treadwell, Dave mentioned him earlier. He's been a nice little stopgap and plug in, especially in DFS. I'd like to see him continue on that because I think he does have some talent. He's just never really been in a position where it's been on display, and now he kind of is. So I think he can make something of it. Other than that, I don't really see too much out of this team.
No, it's right now, not much. I agree with you too. I want to see more from Lawrence these last couple of weeks. It's going to be tough sledding though. Like this week he gets the Jets, so maybe we see something this week that we like. But after that, it's going to be rough. He gets the Patriots and then the Colts. And
drop him now.
Yeah. I mean,
that's going to be ugly.
Oh, I mean, nobody's using him in redraft, but you just for dynasty players, I think you're really praying that you see something good this week, and maybe just not him completely shit the bed against those two much better defenses. But I'm really afraid we're going to see like another 4 interception game from him against the Patriots or whatever. It's not looking like it's going to go in his favor, unfortunately. So
listen, man, if I owned him in Dynasty right now, honest to God, my hope for the rest of the season is just he doesn't get hurt. I swear to God. I don't care what happens. I just don't want him to get hurt.
I can agree with you. I actually took him and Fields in this last draft because I was quarterback desperate. And
you still are.
Yeah, sadly I am. So
and I got nowhere.
Yeah, pretty much. I drafted really well everywhere else. Just not quarterback. Go Carson Wentz. Right. Yeah, okay. All right. So more bad news here. We got more COVID. We got the Chiefs, as Scott Shane Clark mentioned earlier. We got a bunch of Chiefs on the COVID IR with Tyreek and everybody. Yeah, it's not good there. So Tyreek, we've got Harrison Butker. He's out. We know that one. Travis Kelce is on the COVID list, and you hope those guys can return with the new protocols they put in place this past week. But it's really this is just something you really got to pay attention to. Obviously, if they play, you play them, and then just hope it doesn't spread to Mahomes and others. Right? You really just hope. I don't know. As somebody who lost many matchups because players went on COVID and stuff like that last week, like, it just sucks to see this happen. To have this be the way the season's going to end on just kind of a sour note. Like, fantasy teams are winning because players are just going on the COVID list. And, I know we can joke, like, the Jets are another one getting just absolutely ravaged by COVID right now. But, I mean, look, people like Marco Carter, and to where he didn't do much last week, that was his first game back. So, whatever. They got a pretty nice matchup this week. I think people were still kind of in on him. But, he's now on COVID IR. So, not looking good there. We've got Austin Eckler hit the COVID IR today. We got Dalvin Cook. We got Brandon Cooks, and there's many others. So there's really not much to analyze with this, except just next man up mentality on your team is really all you can do and hope for. Just hopefully, you can find the next guy to get you some big points. Hit gold on the waiver wire. Maybe Rojo comes through if you had to go pick him up. Maybe hopefully you had Madison. If you're getting Antonio Brown back, maybe he can fill in for the Brandon Cooks or something like that. Like, it's just, that's what you have to hope for. Maybe you got lucky and grabbed Gabe Davis off the waiver wire a couple weeks ago. Like, that's all you can hope for, in my opinion, is that you picked up some of these guys. Like, I'm in a fantasy basketball league right now where COVID is just absolutely destroying it. And I'm literally starting people I didn't know their names before.
Be happy you're not a fantasy hockey league.
yeah, they're done.
You have Sunday. People that have yet to play a game all year.
Yeah, so it's just like, like I said, in my basketball league, guy goes on IR. COVID IR, I'm like, who's their backup? And I just go swoop in and pick them up and just plug them in. They'll get me 20 points. And I'm like, cool, thanks. Drop. Drop them a day later. It's like, who cares? Obviously for the NFL, it's the playoff time, and that's the worst. You almost kind of wish this had happened in week 3, 4, and 5, right? Because then you can make up ground if you have an actually good team. But in the playoffs, you had a good team. Now you might not, because you've lost Eckler and Dalvin Cook. What are you gonna do? It sucks, man. It really does. It's unfortunate that we're gonna see it end this way. Look, it might bode well for me and Crab Cake, because I'm the underdog and I need these top end players to get hurt, because I've got the Gabe Davises and stuff that right now aren't getting it. So, that's kind of all I can hope for. But I mean, if I were to win, everybody would come to the draft next year and be like, "Yeah, you did not deserve that victory," and I'd be like, "No, I didn't." I didn't. But you know what?
You would wear the championship ribbon and the loser ribbon just because of fun,
and take all your money. So that's fine with me. Anyway,
speaking of which, Scott, I still owe you money.
Yeah, we'll get you.
I will remember at some point.
We'll get there. Next topic here, I want to get into this discussion on some players here. And, we've seen, especially this last week, right, with all the COVID and random kind of randomness that had happened. But we've also seen a trend in certain players either going, performing well or performing bad. And we're going to start with the disappointing players. And this one, the first one I have here, isn't really so much as of late, but I think everybody expected him to perform much, much better last week without his true complementary wide receiver on the other side of the field. That's DJ Metcalf. So he had no Lockett last week, and he still did pretty much nothing. I was shocked. I thought we'd see a lot more from DK. I'm not really sure what in the world is going on with DK. Russell Wilson, I know, isn't quite the Wilson as of years past, but I mean, Lockett's been able to do pretty well the last couple of weeks that he played. Dave, what's going on with DK, and do you trust him if you have him in a redraft league, to plug him in as even a wide receiver 3?
I mean, first of all, I guess if you have DK, you kind of have to trust him. And to be fair, his target share isn't that bad, and really at the end of the day, that you can rely on a little bit more than just pop-up games, if you will. So in the last 4 weeks, he's had 4 targets, 8 targets, 8 targets, and then without Lockett last week, he had 12 targets. I mean, right. I'll take my chances with 12 targets, and if he catches 3 of them for 20 yards, then what are you going to do? So I mean, I wouldn't say I'm super worried because I expect the volume to be there, and if he's getting 12, he could get in the end zone twice without too much trouble.
Yeah, I don't know. I have maybe it's because I have DK in a bunch of places. I have a sour taste in my mouth from what's been going on with him this season. After the first 8 weeks, 6 weeks of the season. I mean, you're talking about the targets.
8, yeah.
I mean, you're talking about really
all season. I was going to say it's been kind of all season. I mean, he's been...
no, but his fantasy points per game were good up until week 8.
Yeah.
And then it dropped off. And you thought at that point, because Russell Wilson was coming back, you were like, oh, it's good. He was able to at least salvage with Geno Smith back there. And then Russell Wilson comes back and you're like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
How are you worse?
Bring back Geno. Bring back Geno.
At least Geno was just slinging it down the field to him. I don't know. It just feels like DK's not trying, or I don't know. It's just very odd. I'm not really sure what's going on here. He's dropped 5 passes this year. That has something to do with it, but I don't know. To me, I think there's some up and coming players that, if I'm lucky enough to have those guys, I'm probably plugging them over DK at this point. If you were lucky enough to get to this point with DK in your lineup, I'd be looking elsewhere. Honestly, I really would, because he just hasn't been performing. This is all there is to it. And you can't. You're not going to win a championship when your star, somebody you drafted, somebody you thought you could rely on, is giving you 6.3 fantasy points per game. 8.5, 8.2. Those are good games in the last 6-7 weeks. Those aren't good. That's not winning you the championship.
But this is the difference, though, between your mindset, though, in the formats that you play in my mindset in the formats that I play in. You can have a bitter taste in your mouth because you've had DK every week, and you can see the ebb and flow, and you can get burned by him. When I'm looking at stuff from a 1 week perspective, in some ways I don't really care what happened 12 weeks ago. I give a shit less. I care that Lockett is out and that he's going to get double-digit targets this week.
But again,
I'll take that.
I would have thought the same last week, and I did. I was all over DK last week, and great. The target share is there, but it didn't pan out.
But that's but the process is still good, though. I mean, the
but
point...
he has seen. But think about it. You have 6 straight weeks of very heavy target share, and it literally has almost done nothing. So you could go after a guy maybe who, let's say a Gabe Davis, right? Who is coming up strong, right? And he's a guy who we're going to talk about. So let's just kind of spoil that one there. Gabe Davis is a guy who's come on strong, some thanks to injury, but he's a guy who I would 100% put over DK right now. If I had both of them and that was like my last wide receiver spot I had to fill in my redraft lineup, I would put Gabe Davis over DK this week.
Yeah, see, and never in a million years would I. I mean, if we're not talking DFS, so there's no salary involved. If you tell me, hey, over the last 4 weeks, Gabe Davis has averaged 4.5 targets, so you can play that guy, or you can take DK Metcalf, who's averaged 7.5 targets. Who would you rather play? Even if the roles were reversed, even if it was DK that was getting a 4.5 and it was Davis getting a 7.5, I'm going to take my chance on volume. It's just, I mean, again, maybe that's a DFS mindset, but I will take the volume over anything.
Yeah, but here's the thing: Gabe Davis isn't seeing just 4. I mean, he's seeing the last 2 weeks. He's seeing 8 and 7, and so you have to take that into account.
The last 2 weeks.
Right, but the same guys will be injured, and this week also you're also going to lose Beasley, and it's unlikely Sanders. So he's even more target share going his way at this point.
I'm taking DK. I mean, even over the last 2 weeks, DK still has 5 more targets. That's 2.5 a game. Lockett's out, so that's a huge boost. I know that Sanders and Beasley might miss the game, but again, you're not going to use targets to persuade me from not playing DK. Like, targets are the reason that you would play him, regardless of past struggles.
And looking at Davis too, since we've already pulled him out of the bag here. Yeah, the last 3 weeks he's been really good. The last 2 weeks he's had a huge snap share. 90%, 83%. Go back to 3 weeks against New England, who they're playing this week. He was only 28%. But
but everybody was healthy.
Correct. But his big thing is that he's gotten touchdowns. He's the new red zone guy that Dawson Knox was all season long, aside from obviously the games he was injured.
Well, and Emmanuel Sanders has been a big red zone guy for them who's hurt. So he's filling that role.
Yeah, Sanders started off as a red zone guy, and then he was healthy, and he wasn't anymore. He sucked. He fell off the map completely. And maybe part of that was injury related, but to me, if I'm looking at Gabe Davis and I'm looking at his season, if I'm macro and looking at his season long, okay, week 1.
You can't look at season long for Gabe Davis. It's been a completely different story for him. He's like wide receiver 4 on that team.
Yeah, I get
so that. So that's what I'm saying. In playoff mode for fantasy, and AJ, you're best at this than anybody that I know. You look at what have you done for me lately, right? And that matters in the fantasy redraft playoffs, right? You can't. Sometimes you've got to look at. You can't look at the season long in week 16 and go, oh, well, Gabe Davis hasn't been doing shit, week 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because he was wide receiver 4 on that team. He's not wide receiver 4 now. The last 2 weeks,
he wasn't on my team when he was at weeks 3, 4, and 5.
Exactly.
He's a freaking.
So that's why I'm saying it's a different story now. And look, I've got DK ranked ahead of Gabe Davis, but honestly, I think in my gut, I play Gabe Davis over DK.
To help your argument a little bit, Joe, in the past 3 games, Gabe Davis is leading the team in red zone targets with 8. Stephon Diggs is second with 4.
There we go.
Yeah, but are you just all of a sudden, if you're Josh Allen, gonna forget that Diggs is on your team because Gabe Davis
Diggs is still getting hits.
Is he though?
He's still seeing 7, 13, 7, 9 targets. He's still getting his targets.
Targets. But that's the point. He is an elite.
I'm not saying I would start him over. I'm not saying I would start him
receiver.
Is he though? I've been watching a few of the Seattle games, and DK looks uninterested. That's all I can say.
Look what happened. Look what's happened to that team this year, though.
I get it, but I think all of that wrapped together.
My disappointing player, because I knew we were talking DK. I think this whole team is disappointing this year, and nobody
in this organization came into this year thinking, yeah, you know what? We're going to just suck this year. We're going to get injured. We're going to have COVID. We're going to have this issue, that, whatever. Someone's going to lose some interest. Nobody on any team goes into the year thinking that. But shit happens. And eventually it wears on people. And I think that's what we're seeing with DK here. He's not happy. This team is, since he's been on it, has never been this bad. And even before he was on it, this team over the past decade, we'll say, has been, a solid team, perennial playoff contender for a numerous amount of years, Super Bowl champions, Super Bowl appearances, and, should be champions, but, they don't want to fucking feed Marshawn Lynch. We don't need to rehash that. But I just think that I gotta agree with Dave.
You're proving my point, though. Actually, you're actually helping me prove my point. Is that Russell Wilson hasn't been the same. The whole team kind of sucks. So DK's disinterested, and therefore, why risk at this point in the game? Why risk with somebody who hasn't performed in 6-7 weeks?
I mean,
over a guy who's got the opportunity.
That I'm all about the what have you done for me lately, but if I have DK on my team and I have Davis, I'm just going to
over a guy who has
I wouldn't. I mean, you've got
performed when been given the chance because of injury. That's a guy
so he's hungrier.
So sometimes that matters this late in the season.
It does. I'm not saying it doesn't, but.
And I think Lockett plays this week. I really do. So
this is what Davis is, though. He has been a background player for this offense. When he's been given a chance, he shines with it. And he did it last year. He's doing it again this year. Recently, he's getting the red zone looks. Mm-hmm. But who's to say that that's going to continue for the next 2 weeks?
There's also a difference of, if we're depends how far you want to take this, but you could go so far as to say when Davis goes into the game as a wide receiver 4, there's a different game plan in play than when Davis goes into the game as a wide receiver 2. Like Bill Belichick knows it's going to be Stephon Diggs, it's going to be Gabe Davis, not having to plan for Beasley and Sanders. I mean,
I'll admit the matchup's tough this week, so that does throw a little bit of a wrinkle in for me. But I don't know. DK he literally ended 2 of my teams because he's done nothing since I've, for the last 7 weeks, and it's just.
Well, and I looked at him in DFS on Tuesday's slate because A, I love DK, but B, because he put up a huge game against LA earlier this year. Now they were on the road, so it was a little different. There was no Lockett, obviously, so he was going to be focused on by the defense, but he still got 12 targets, and he caught half of them. And of the half that he missed, do we know how many of those were just shitty throws?
But that matters, man. Here's the thing. So some of that matters.
Talking about I have been 5 drops in a year.
But I have been looking.
Deontay Johnson probably had 5 drops in a game last year.
But that's the thing. I have been watching some of the Seattle games because they do get on primetime a lot. And, you watch it, and, Russell Wilson is missing. And so, that factors into it. And so, I think DK is still super talented. But right now, when you add everything up together, I don't really like DK as much as I used to. And that's period. So we need to move on, though. Next player, disappointing, who I think a lot of people were high on a couple weeks ago, is Devonta Freeman. He's come in and, last week was really bad. In a week that I think a lot of people thought he would actually perform pretty well with backup quarterback in there, Huntley, but he saw just 6 carries for 22. Actually got outperformed by Latavius Murray for the first time since he's returned. Even the week before that, saw a lot of work, but didn't really do much with it. 64 yards, meh. Caught all 5 of his targets, but only for 8 yards. Kind of weird. Before that, he was good though. So he was kind of an up and coming player. One of the guys that we touted AJ as one of those, surprise, league winners, right? Somebody who you weren't expecting a few weeks ago to be in this position, that if you randomly got lucky and picked him up, that he could be good. But right now, I'm not so sure. Like, he's kind of like, are we still in on him? I'm kind of on the fence. I don't know. AJ, I'll let you start, and we got to go a little quicker on these.
Don't pigeonhole me into time. All right.
Dave wants to go to bed. I'm going to blame it on him.
Freeman, I wasn't really high on him at all in general because he's been out of the league for so long, and this seemed like more of a desperation play from Baltimore to go out and get backs that were popular and good, especially from a fantasy standpoint, for a handful of years. 5-10 years ago. Murray is one of those other guys, though. He came in kind of at the same time, and he's the only one that's been consistently playing. Freeman was out. Bell was out. Bell was dropped and cut, and now he's on, his 3rd team for the year this year. He's been on 27 in the last 8 months, I feel like. So this was Huntley's game last week. He scored all of the touchdowns. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm just not really trusting Baltimore's offense with Huntley back there, although because of what he did last week, he might be the only one that is trustworthy.
David, any thoughts?
For me, again, I think it comes down to, just our different mindsets. So it's very similar for me to the DK aspect of things, where prior to last week, Devonta Freeman basically has had 20 touches a game. He had 17, 19, 18, and then sure, he has 7. And I wouldn't be so quick to say, oh, okay, well, last week it was 7 touches for Freeman and 8 for Murray. Murray's got the backfield. Until I see that again,
I'm sort of wishy-washy about it. I'm not off. But it's a discussion. That's why it's here.
Yeah, I wouldn't jump off of Freeman, but I also was never really in on him. But again, we're playing different formats here. So I look at this Baltimore-Cincinnati game, and those are 2 teams that want to run the ball. So this is most likely going to be a low-scoring game where both teams are going to run the ball. So I could easily see Freeman getting 20 carries along with Mixon's 25, and this is a 13-10 ugly game. And if you own Freeman, that's kind of what you want. Maybe not the ugly part of it, but you want it to be a pounded out, grounded out kind of game, and let him get his 20 carries for 65 yards. And if he gets in the end zone, you're golden. If he doesn't, well, that's kind of the kind of player he is.
Yeah.
I think he's one of those. You've probably been hurt by a lot of running back injuries, and hey, I've got Devonta Freeman sitting there. Sure.
Because you didn't draft him.
No, definitely not.
You definitely got him on the waiver wire.
Yeah. So, next guy is a big name player, quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals, who Dave knows from the shellacking his Lions put on the Cardinals here. I'm just going to remind him again.
How are you going to do that? How can you do that?
Listen, Kyler Murray won me thousands of dollars before, so you know what? Yeah, so if he just simply, costs me, Thibodeau, and I have to deal with Hutchinson at the 2 pick, I'll be fine.
But no, so again, Kyler the last couple weeks has struggled. He's thrown, 2 weeks ago against the Rams, he threw for 383 yards, but 2 picks. Ran 7 times for 61, didn't get in the end zone. Against Detroit, threw for 257 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Only ran 4 times. That shocked me more than anything in that game. That was weird. And only rushed for 3 yards.
So oddly enough, for whatever reason, the last couple of years, and I know it's different coordinators, different whatever, but the Lions have always done a really good job at limiting running quarterbacks. I mean, they to some extent, shut down Lamar. Hurts didn't run the ball on them. They've kept Murray in check. I don't know what it is about their defense. Maybe they're so just easy to pass on, but typically they don't give up yards to running quarterbacks. It's just weird. I don't know why.
We want to practice our in-pocket play this week since we're playing Detroit. So
yeah, exactly.
You don't have to run it much, guys.
They just treat it like a scrimmage.
Omaha, 3-step drop, throw. That's it. That's all you need to do.
Yeah. So anyway,
by the way,
my
blizzard of hops.
Nice. My, the question here is, how confident do you feel in your redraft leagues using Kyler Murray still?
$1,000,000%.
Knowing that he has struggled these last couple weeks. I'm all in with you, Dave. I'm not. Look, I've dropped him in the rankings a couple,
It's like,
but it's from like QB2 to QB5. Like, okay, like you're still using him. He's still he's gonna run more than he did last week. Maybe it was a Lions thing. Who knows? That doesn't make any sense, but it's weird. But yeah, I think he's just too good. But I guarantee this question has been on people's minds, and like again, the trend shows he's going in the wrong direction. So that's why I mentioned him. So,
well, the other thing here too is you got to look at his pass attempts. I mean, he's got 90 pass attempts in the past 2 weeks. That's not really their game plan.
And they've been behind a lot, which is like a lot.
Yeah. So that's added to it. But I think overall, I mean, he had 15 attempts the week before that against Chicago.
Well, that was that crappy rainy / snowy, windy game.
Yeah.
He just ran a lot.
I just think
that's a weird one.
Overall,
I throw that out the window.
I mean, looking at his other attempts throughout, he's averaging
it's like in the 30s,
high 20s, low 30s.
Yeah.
So I'm not jumping off of him yet. I mean, it's 2 bad weeks. He's got Indy this week. It's at home. I mean, Indy's not a great matchup.
No, they've been
as long as the line can
fighting tough, man,
contain them, and if Arizona's defense can somehow figure out JT and slow him down, which I don't think will happen, but that's going to help him. This game needs to stay close or be a blowout going both ways, and there just be no defense. That's going to help him, I think. And then he's at Dallas in Week 17 for your championship. I mean, you can't sit this guy. You drafted this guy.
No, yeah. You're not sitting
so
him.
high that
you just have to hope it works.
Him. You just need
I've actually gotten questions about sitting Kyle or Josh Allen this week, and I'm like, nah. That was the one where I got instead of Joe Brady or instead of Tom Brady, it was actually Josh Allen and like Garoppolo and Tannehill and so forth, and I was like, no. No, I get it because of the last game, but that was like the game 2 weeks ago that you're talking about with Kyler Murray, where it was like windy and snowy, and it's like it's just weird. Like you can't analyze those in the same window as the other games. Like it's just no. I get it's a tough matchup, but I'm not sitting Josh Allen for Jimmy Garoppolo for that. The last guy here, and somebody who I added last second here, and it's Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon was a hot topic a few weeks ago on Twitter, and everybody was going, oh man, see all the Joe Mixon haters out there will told you so now. And well, now he's doing what he did a few years ago and even last year, and he, it's kind of coming back around a little bit. So granted, now he's dealing with a little bit of an injury, but he's practicing at full, so he's going to play this week, it looks like. But the last 3 weeks haven't been anywhere close to what he had been doing. Now, look, I am not sitting Joe Mixon, but how confident are you in Joe Mixon being the Joe Mixon we saw in the early part of the season against this Baltimore team? Dave.
I mean, listen, even though they've got, Burrow and, great trio of receivers, like I said earlier, they want to run the ball. They just, that's what they want to do. And I'm beating a dead horse here again, but volume means everything to me. And as long as he's healthy, and that's been part of the problem here to some extent recently. I mean, yeah, he's still been getting, a good number of carries, but he's been hurt. And there's really, again, barring health concerns, there would be zero reason to not have confidence that he's going to go out there, get his 15 to 25 carries. And I mean, you'll take your chance there. I would be 0% concerned with a healthy Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to get, the 25, the 20 points that we've seen for that stretch of games there, but I think you can expect better than what we saw last few weeks.
Stretch of games from Baltimore in Week 7 against the Jets, against Cleveland, against Vegas, against Pittsburgh, and then he started stinking it up, against Chargers, San Fran, and Denver. And Denver's got a great defense, against the
other two are decent too, man. And Baltimore against the run is good. So I mean, that does slightly concern me with the production. I know the volume
snap percentage was down because of the injury issues. P. Ryan's been in there, vulturing some touches and whatnot because of that. But you look at some of his snap percentages throughout the season where they've been down, and he's still put up good numbers. Again, Baltimore, 54% share, just under 12 points. That's full PPR. Well, he didn't catch anything in that game, so it doesn't matter.
He's not their pass. He doesn't do a lot in the passing game, unfortunately. Not as much as we all expected.
I think this is going to be, I agree, a ground out, pounded out, defensive game more so than.
Yeah, but the Ravens secondary is so beat up. I think that's how the Bengals are going to have to win this game. And even before the secondary was beat up, that's how you could beat the Ravens was pass. Yeah. So I am limiting. I'm lowering the ceiling on Mixon this week, but I still think he's absolutely
for Week 17 too against Kansas City. I mean,
I
their
agree.
Defense has really come on in the last handful of weeks.
That's a good point.
They're not a pushover defense at this point, so
it's definitely a good point. I mean, I've got Mixon all the way to RB12 this week, and I honestly could go lower, but I
think
I haven't yet.
He's easily falling into RB2 territory for me.
So let's talk about some positive here, and probably the most surprising player and random maybe winner for some teams in Week 15 was Mr. Duke Johnson. Like, what? Where did this come from? Guy just blew up, man. 100. Yeah, and they were playing the Jets. Or was it Houston?
No, I said he came from Houston. Right, it was a joke.
Anyway, I missed it. Sorry. Anyway,
over your Santa hat there.
So, go Hokies. So yeah, I mean, Duke Johnson got a ton of carries last week. I think it was like 22 or something like that, 100 something yards, 2 touchdowns. Like I think a lot of this was due to Gaskin being on a snap count because he was returning from COVID. Ahmed was the same way. But I mean, maybe he's like a flex type player. Is he in that conversation at all for you, Dave? Or are you just like, no, that was a 1 week thing for Duke Johnson?
Listen, running backs don't matter. It's situational. He was in the right situation. You could have put a lot of people back there. Again, that I keeps coming down to. I've been saying this the whole show: volume, and volume. He got, what did you say, 22 carries?
It was 22 carries.
Well, no shit.
And it was against, by the way, your Jets, who you mentioned stank against.
Stink.
You get 22 carries against the worst rushing defense in the league, and that's what happens. So, unless Duke Johnson's going to face the Jets again and get 20 carries again, he gets the
Saints, against Tennessee. It's not looking likely. He's not somebody I'm really trying to plug in now. I mean, look, I get it. Teams are decimated by running back injuries right now, so you might get stuck having to use him. You could have worse options, I suppose, but he's not somebody I'm really loving right now.
Well,
I got him in RB 35, and he'll probably drop once a few players come off COVID or get cleared and things like that. So
he may well not get a touch.
Exactly.
I don't think he'll not get a touch. They did
if
sign
Gaskin
him.
and Ahmed come back, he's not getting a touch.
I don't. Well, but Gaskin was there last week.
Both of them were.
They were both last week. So that's the thing.
They were
right.
They were. Yeah.
I think
present.
I think Duke earned himself a role. This is not going to be anywhere close to what we saw last week.
Actually, I'm
completely disagree.
He didn't even do anything. I think about it.
Yeah. So I think Duke Johnson. I mean, they did sign him to the active roster for a reason. I don't think you do that if you don't want to at least.
Yeah, that's the reason. Exactly.
Yeah. A couple of
shit. Our entire running set sick.
Well, no, you don't have to sign him to the active roster. You can keep him on the practice squad and then just pull him up for the 1 week. You don't have to sign him to the active 53-man. But
because of that explosion, if you send him back to the practice squad, you don't think
that's
someone's
true.
Like, hey, we need you over here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Houston, we have
so
a problem.
next guy up, which is a bit of a different situation. It feels like his stock is actually going up kind of normally, and it's Devin Singletary for the Buffalo Bills. This is a team who has been desperate to find a running game this year. Not that I think they have randomly found gold with Devin Singletary, because we know it's probably the same old Devin Singletary, but it sounds like the coaching staff and the team is saying that he's their guy now. He's the guy that they trust over Zach Moss, over Matt Breida. Do we have any sort of hope that Devin Singletary can be a useful player in the playoff run here?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if he's going to lead that backfield in carries, the biggest concern is that, Josh Allen is more their goal line back.
Right.
Or Zach Moss, of course, if he's in there. If
they play him.
Well, right, exactly.
Healthy scratch Moss coming in.
So, unfortunately, you're probably not really looking to get touchdowns from him, so that severely limits any sort of ceiling you could get from him.
Right.
But if you're going to give me a running back that's going to get 15 carries, I'll take my chances.
Yeah,
he could break a 35-yard run for the touchdown, because he's in that zone there, the 20 between the 20s or whatever.
So just to tell you, in the red zone last week, Devin Singletary saw 5 attempts.
Well, in the red zone is different than at the goal line. I mean,
okay, how about let's say
let's look at
inside the 5-0.
Sorry,
inside the 5-0.
Yeah, that's what matters. Right. Runs at the 18-yard line don't make my winner wiggle.
Okay. I'll give that to you.
Yeah. They don't get my motor running, if you know what I'm saying.
Weirdly enough, they did they not have any place inside the 5? Because I'm noticing Josh Allen has 0 attempts inside the 5, 1 attempt inside the 10. They just score from outside the entire game. And that's weird.
I mean, hey, if you can do that and you're scoring touchdowns, then you're winning the game, right?
Yeah. So Josh Allen inside the 20 was 7 for 4 for
just
3 touchdowns.
Score more than your opponent.
And then Singletary had 5 rushes inside the 20, but then nothing inside the 10. And Josh Allen only touched the ball 1 time inside the 10. So that
was a kneel down. No, I'm just
it might have been. All right, another interesting one. And Dave, sorry, gotta do it to you, man. Craig Reynolds. Who is this guy? And literally, if Swift and Williams don't return, right? Is he somebody that you're just going, all right? I mean, he's getting all the work, right? Is it somebody you can rely on? He's looked good.
What same running backs don't matter, Joe. Right. You put guys in the right situation, and that's the kind of stuff that happens. I mean, to be quite fair, the Lions have one of the better offensive lines in football, and they have been healthy the last couple of weeks. So you could put a lot of guys back there last week and give them the touches that Craig Reynolds has, and you're going to be great. It's just another name on the back of a jersey, man. If Swift or Williams is healthy, either one of them completely wipes out Reynolds. I mean, he might get, 4, 5, 6 carries, but unless he's in the exact same situation he was in last week. And even then, I mean, it's still, it's not like that's the guy you can rely on. It's just he's the guy that's back there running the ball. It doesn't matter who he is or what his name is. It's just the right situation, man.
Yeah. And going back to the Duke Johnson thing, obviously, because I wanted to make this point earlier. He had 58% snap share and 22 carries. Well, Gaskins had 37% and 10 carries. And he basically had half the amount of yardage that Duke Johnson did. So had he gotten that other 10 carries, which he very well likely would this week if he's fully healthy, Duke Johnson's going to be relegated back to the practice squad in another week. Or I guess he can't be since they signed him from the squad. But
yeah, they can cut him though.
They could cut him. But yeah, I mean, with Reynolds, I agree. I think it's a situational thing. You saw what Williams did when Swift was out the first week, and Williams had a monster game. Great. We kind of saw that from him. We knew that he had that ability coming out of Green Bay to, fill in. And then he gets injured and it's that next man up. So I agree with Dave on this one.
Yeah. It's all dependent on who's healthy. But if those guys, if Swift and Williams are not healthy, Reynolds is somebody that I think you can rely on.
Yeah. Speaking of family drama, I'm now drinking some family drama.
Holy crap! You're on number 3. I'm on the Sam Adams winter. I'm on the Sam Adams winter lager. Hey guys, guess what? I actually drink something besides IPAs. Only during the winter.
Liar. He dumped it out and poured an IPA into it. It's another half.
Let me crack it.
Something or other half. I don't want you to crack it.
You saw me pop it.
No, I didn't.
I got the bottle right. I got the bottle top right here. Anyway, another Detroit Lion, Dave. Amon-Ra St.Brown. Dude's been a baller, man. Talking about volume, 12, 12, and 11 the last 3 weeks. Been killing it, man. I mean, hard pressed, man, unless you've got like the absolute studs. Hard pressed to find a lot of guys, in my opinion, that I'm starting over Amon-Ra, especially this week. You agree?
Well, I mean, like so many of these things we talk about, I mean, it's so much of it becomes situational dependent, I mean, what happens when your top 2 running backs are out? And what happens when your Pro Bowl caliber tight end is out? All of a sudden, your quote unquote number 1 receiver gets to where, even though he might not be a big name, he's still 4th in the league in targets in the last three weeks. So
3 weeks, yep.
Again, you've got a perfect storm of things that have to happen. You got to have Goff in there. You've got to have Swift and Williams out. Hawkinson's already out.
I think even if Swift and Williams are back, we see a little decrease for Amon-Ra. But dude, we get to see them play Atlanta. I mean, come on.
But Swift is going to take 8 to 10 of those targets. I mean, maybe not directly from St. Brown, but if they've got a relatively full complement, he's not going to get 12 targets again. I could easily see him. I mean, if he had 5 targets next week or this week or whatever the hell, that would not be a surprise to me. Some people might go, "Oh, what the hell? What happened to him?" Well, situation is what happened to him.
Yeah.
I mean, if Tim Boyle's back there, then I don't care who's else.
Oh well, yeah, I'm out.
But I mean, Swift is a target monster.
But
back there.
But here's the thing. So like, even if Swift is back and he gets 8 targets, let's say, right? We had no Hawk, so like, yeah, you might lose I mean, I don't know. How many was Reynolds? Anything? I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, since Reynolds has been there, him and Goff have a connection. I'm just saying, yes, it's been a nice uptick. He's been fantastic the last 3 weeks, but this is kind of a trap that people will fall into in DFSs. They'll chase past performance, and now is not the time you want to start buying in on St. Brown. You want to get in on guys before they start to become super popular, and all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh, I'm going to play this sneaky St. Brown." No, it's not sneaky. Everyone knows about him.
Everybody knows he's good now.
So the sneaky play for St. Brown was 2 weeks ago. Whenever he was in a good situation, and he hadn't done a whole lot all year long, and all of a sudden he has a nice game, and then you play him last week a little bit, and now he's just. Now it's not a surprise.
Now everybody knows about him, but yeah, I mean,
and so now everyone knows about him, but also you're going to have probably, well, we'll see, but if Swift and Williams are back in there, all of a sudden now he's got a bunch of competition, and then people are going to wonder, oh, what the hell? What happened to St. Brown? Well, nothing. He's still the exact same player on the exact, same offense. It's just the pieces around him are better, and there's just not as much for him to, not a big piece for him to take. So.
Yeah,
he's not a guy you should be targeting in any fashion.
Yeah, right now with Swift and Williams still kind of in limbo, I have him in the lower part of the wide receiver 2.
Yeah, that's fine.
Discussion. If those two come back, he drops probably into wide receiver 3 flex territory.
I mean, he's got a tough matchup this week, though. I mean, he's going up against one of the better corners in the league. I mean, I guess that he may not get shadowed by any stretch. But, I mean, I would not be banking on St. Brown this week. If you're banking on St. Brown this week, you're probably going to be disappointed.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing you look at, too, is, again, the volume. The last 3 weeks without those complimentary players, it's been crazy.
Yeah, top 5 in the league, yeah.
Before that, you got 4, 6, 5.
That was also with Hawk there too, so that matters.
Well, yeah,
and now in Hawk,
7,
Hawkinson
8,
will not
8.
be there, and we know that.
I mean,
right,
4 weeks, 4, 5,
Swift
and
was
6.
out a lot of those games too.
True.
Yep. Yeah,
absolutely.
And Williams has missed a lot of time. I mean, they've never really been fully healthy.
Yeah.
Not that it would matter, but
I like him. I'm happy that I grabbed him in my home league before the playoffs started, so he was on my roster, and I can have him as a potential really late round keeper for next year. But other than that, he's on the road the next 2 weeks at Atlanta, at Seattle, who's a dumpster fire that we already talked about. I kind of like him week 17, but again, it depends on who's there, who's healthy, and who's going to play. So we'll see what happens there.
All right. So in lieu of time here, I'm going to skip to the last one here, and it's going to be Tyler Boyd. I don't really know what to think about Tyler Boyd. He had a really good week 15, but he's been pretty disappointing. He's third on that team in targets for sure after Chase and Higgins. I mean, do we buy into like Tyler Boyd as like a flex play? Considering he played really well last week, and I feel like he played decent enough the week before to where like people are kind of like wondering if we need to use him or not. It's just, Dave, what's your quick thoughts on Tyler Boyd?
I mean, he's their number 3 receiver, like without question. Like I said, they like to run the ball, so when they can, they're going to pound the ball with Mixon. What you're looking for with Boyd literally is matchup based. He plays out of the slot, so you're looking for a good opportunity for a slot receiver to have an advantage. Obviously, the Baltimore passing, defenses, whatever. So, even with running the ball with Mixon, somebody's likely to have a good game. You really have to flip a coin, though. And is it going to be Higgins? Is it going to be Chase? Or is it going to be Boyd? I'm not going to take a 1 in 3 shot.
It's hard.
I mean, Boyd is playable. Is he a flex consideration? Yeah, sure. But if you're banking on him, you're in trouble. But he could have.
I think that's the most I'd go for him right now. I mean, I think the most surprising thing, which is why he's making a little bit of noise right now, is that it was against Denver, who has been kind of shutting a lot of people down.
Yeah,
that was the one surprising thing, is that But granted, it was a 56-yard touchdown catch that kind of propelled that day.
That'll get you points real quick, won't it?
Of course.
Yeah. There's 10 points right on the board.
When you have 96 yards on the day and 56 of them were for one of your 5 catches with the tutty, I mean, it's, Denver's going to give that up. Anybody's going to give that up at some point during the year and still be a solid defense, like especially against a number 3 receiver. I like Boyd, but Baltimore, he could
Their
do
pass
well
defense
against them.
Pass
defense
lots
sucks,
of holes, man.
But he had 7 targets, only caught 4 of them for 39 in their first meeting.
No, totally different game.
Since
by the
he
way,
destroyed them. Kansas City again, not an easy defense to be against. That's a very meaningful game. All of these games for Cincy are meaningful at this point. They're in the running to potentially win the division. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
no, they are.
So,
anybody can win the
and 2 of their 3 games are against division opponents. So I think I like Boyd, but if I have some better options, I'm not against benching him this week.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's jump into some injuries here, and AJ, I'll lead the way with quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson. What? Yeah. We'll try to rip him as fast as possible here. Lamar Jackson, questionable with an ankle, has not practiced yet this week. We saw Huntley already. I mean, I think everybody can sort of breathe a sigh of relief there in Baltimore and say that, he can get the job done. He played very, very well. Sam Darnold, questionable. Cam Newton's going to get the start, but saying that Sam Darnold's going to get some run. And I'll be honest, man, I wouldn't be surprised to see if Sam Darnold finishes the game. Cam Newton has been absolute garbage. Justin Fields, questionable with an ankle, limited practice Wednesday. Nothing really saying he's not going to play. Baker Mayfield on the COVID IR should be ready for the game, but again, something you got to worry about here. As we've mentioned before, Jared Goff, COVID IR. Wow, there's a long note here. Goff said in a radio interview that he tested positive on Monday.
Just read it. You're not going to paraphrase it.
Whatever. Eric Woodyard on ESPN reports, I'm feeling good. It's pretty much a mild cold. I'm feeling fine. I had some symptoms popped up Sunday night after the Lions win, and that's it. So I don't know what that means, but he tested positive, so whatever. But we got to see if he can clear the new protocols. Teddy Bridgewater's out with that nasty concussion. Feel for him, man. Hopefully he gets better. Aaron Rodgers questionable with a toe. Dude's going to play.
Toe.
Yeah.
Tovid,
right? Kirk Cousins, limited practice Wednesday with ribs. He's going to play. Jalen Hurts probably going to play with the ankle. Excuse me. Daniel Jones, IR
Speaking
with
of
a neck.
COVID.
Yeah, right.
My mic's now got it.
Right. Running backs. James Conner, questionable with a heel, did not practice this past Wednesday. Kareem Hunt is out with COVID. Tony Pollard is dealing with a foot injury, but probably going to play through it like he did last week. Javonte Williams, knee, limited practice Wednesday. Melvin Gordon did not practice yesterday with that hip and thumb injury, so something to keep an eye on there. We've mentioned DeAndre Swift is dealing with a shoulder, limited practice yesterday. So, again, something to keep an eye on. We got Aaron Jones questionable with a knee injury, limited practice, likely to play. James Robinson, same news as always, probably going to play. David Johnson, nobody cares. Josh Jacobs, illness, sorry. Josh Jacobs, questionable with an illness, didn't practice Wednesday. Austin Eckler, as I mentioned, obviously I don't know if he's been ruled officially out, but he's on the COVID IR. I did know that part at least, but I didn't know he was ruled out. Mike, is there something that I should know that I hadn't read yet? Is he officially out?
He's ruled out.
Is he? Okay, well that's news.
I don't know.
I had not read that yet. Okay.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that.
I just saw that he went on it. I didn't know that he was done. So yeah, huge news. Go
Test
get
positive
Justin
for
Jackson.
COVID.
Yeah, but if he has the vaccine and doesn't
Wednesday.
show, yeah, but if he, but as he said, like if he has the vaccine,
and it said it wasn't until Wednesday he was officially deactivated.
This is on the IR. Doesn't mean he's been ruled out because you can come back.
Yeah,
I don't think he's out yet. I really don't.
He's vaccinated and has a chance to play.
There we go. So he's not out yet.
If he can test out of the NIFL's COVID-19 protocol. Oh, sorry, NFL. Yeah. So not ruled out yet.
All right. Damian Harris, questionable with a hamstring. Thank you for that information, AJ.
You're welcome.
Ramondre Stevenson, questionable with an illness, did not practice Wednesday. Saquon Barkley, dealing with an ankle. Same news. Jordan Howard, knee, limited practice. Miles Sanders didn't practice today with a quad. Alex Collins has been removed from the COVID IR. Not that anybody cares about that anymore. Antonio Gibson, obviously questionable, but this time due to a toe injury, limited practice. But my guess is he's going to play. So, but
okay, let's
receivers,
go. The wide receivers. Rondale Moore, questionable ankle, DNP Wednesday. Emmanuel Sanders, nobody cares about you anymore. Questionable limited practice because of the knee on Wednesday. Cole Beasley, you're out. Got the
Cole
vid.
Beasley.
You're not even vaccinated. You might as well just live in California. I don't understand how
there you
you
go,
still
Dennis.
Buffalo.
Or Richard, sorry.
DJ Moore, questionable with a hamstring. He is a GTD, game time decision. Allen Robinson is out. COVID still on the list. Jarvis Landry is questionable. COVID IR, possibly could play this Saturday. Merry Christmas if he does, or not Merry Christmas. Cortland Sutton, questionable with a wrist, limited practice Wednesday. MVS out. COVID IR. He was just placed there on Tuesday. Brandon Cooks, we already mentioned, out. COVID Laviska Shenault is questionable. Who cares? It's the Jags. Tyreek Hill out. COVID IR. Jalen Guyton out. COVID IR. Will Fuller out. Not a surprise. Adam Thielen, questionable ankle, limited practice Wednesday. Nelson Aguilar, questionable concussion symptoms, DNP Wednesday. Kendrick Bourne, out, COVID, still has a chance to play though. Sterling Shepard, Achilles. Kadarius Tone is out with an illness, expected back today. I would assume that's Thursday. I do not know if he was back today. So Jameson Crowder, questionable calf, DNP Wednesday. Tyler Lockett, questionable COVID, close to coming off of it though.
I think he's been activated actually.
Okay, there you go. DK Metcalf hates his life right now and his team. Questionable with a foot, aka I don't give a shit about this team. Antonio Brown, questionable, not in game shape, ankle, limited practice Wednesday. Curtis Samuel, questionable, hamstring, LP Wednesday. Tight ends, we got Zach Ertz, spelled with an S. I'm on Burgundy. Questionable with a hamstring, limited practice. Wednesday. We got Travis Kelce, in your face. COVID may have a chance to come back. I don't know if he's been officially ruled out. Mike, what's your take on it? Has he been officially ruled out by you?
They haven't.
Or by not
I got rid of the
Darren Waller, questionable. Stop talking over me, Dick.
I like it.
Waller, questionable. Knee, back, ow, my knee, my neck, my back. Did not practice Wednesday. Foster Moreau, questionable, abdomen, thigh, limited practice Wednesday. If neither of them play, I don't know who the hell their other tight ends are. They may bring Gruden back. Tyler Higbee, COVID, still on the list. Troutman, out, COVID, and Pat Freeman is questionable with a concussion. I'm still drinking. Let's go to DFS.
All right. Sounds good, man. So, all right, man, Dave. This is the real reason why I brought you here. Is the DFS talk? It just took an hour and a half to get here.
I've been here for more than an hour and a half. God damn it!
Yeah, right. Yeah. Thanks to AJ. So week 16 DFS plays. Stop talking over me, damn it.
I always talk over you.
I know you do. All right. So our week 16 DFS plays. We use DK scoring. So we start with our stacks and our smash plays. So give me a stack or two that you are really leaning toward using this week and why.
Well, I'll give you a stack and a variation of it, and then I'll give you another one. So the most obvious thing to stack this week is going to be the Rams and Vikings. So you're going to do that with Kupp. You're going to do that with Jefferson, especially with Dalvin Cook being out. Most people are going to gravitate towards putting Stafford in there with Kupp. That's obviously a fine play. I think you can get a little bit more unique, and you could do that with Cousins instead. Save yourself a little bit of money and be a little bit more unique because I think a lot of people are going to play Kupp and Jefferson. They're probably going to be two of the top 5 overall plays.
You don't say.
Top 2 at receiver. If you want to go a little bit different, you can save a ton of money. And you still can play Jefferson and Kupp because they're very nicely correlated together and, opposing each other. And I think that just straight value-wise, this isn't saying that I necessarily love these plays. They're just cheap, solid values so you can spend money elsewhere on guys like Kupp and Jefferson. And I'm thinking Justin Fields and putting him with Cole Kmet. A lot of times with your stacks, you want a run-back option. I think in this situation – you could not do that. You don't necessarily have to play a Seahawk because I don't want to play DK Metcalf this week. I know we talked about him earlier, but his price makes him prohibitive in DFS. So you would either want to go with maybe like a Freddie Swain if you want to run it back. I would just prefer no run back. And if you want to put Fields out there just naked with no Kmet, that also makes a lot of sense. But Kmet makes for a nice kind of a punt tight end without actually, a real punt tight end.
Yeah, Lockett would be somebody that if he's actually healthy, and it sounds like he would be somebody interesting, but he's probably a little too high at 6,700 to be able to go after the Kupp and Jefferson as well. So
I think if you're playing Fields, you should not anticipate
worry about the
you're playing him because he's a good value, not because you think that game is going to smash the over.
Yeah. What about a stack? And can I light the matchup a little bit just because that pass defense has been decimated and they weren't good to begin with? It felt like is Joe Burrow in any of them?
I don't like it. I don't like it this week. No, and like I said, and it comes down to, Cincinnati has proven all year long that they want to run the ball. And so this is going to be, I think, one of those divisional matchups where both teams are going to try to pound the rock. I think it's going to be low scoring. So when there's a game that I think is going to hit the under, then I have zero interest in stacking that game.
All right.
And I really don't have a lot of interest in playing anybody from that game, maybe outside of Joe Mixon.
Yeah, and so it sounds like you're kind of off like the top tier quarterback stacks. Kind of like I am too. Like I don't really want anything to do with Kansas City and Allen and Brady and Herbert's sort of. I kind of like that. If you're gonna pay up for it, I guess Herbert could be the one because it is Houston. But like that could also be one of the ones where like they just run the ball because it's Houston and they don't need to pass. So like,
who are they gonna run it with if your boy Eckler's out? I mean, he's already been deemed out by.
Jackson's going to be a smash in DFS.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so that would be an absolute smash.
He's
spoiler alert,
$4,200.
Yeah,
yeah.
But I mean, like, but it sounds like Dave that you're kind of off those top priced, at least from a quarterback standpoint, stacks. Is that accurate?
Well, I mean, I would say the most popular stack by a mile is going to be Stafford, Jefferson, Kupp. So. I mean, no, not really. I would say I'm right on top of it. I think that's a matchup, or I think that's
from a quarterback standpoint, though. Like you're not going after. It doesn't sound like you're going
lower.
Stafford's he's 67.
Herbert's
he's not up there at like 77, 75, 74, 72. Like sounds like you're going.
None of the quarterbacks are.
I mean, he's the 6th highest. price quarterback. And as it sits right now, I have Stafford being the second highest owned quarterback. So I would argue that I'm right at the top of the quarterback and the stack market.
Do have a question here from our good friend from Sunday morning, Mr. Bob Dole. Dave, I don't know if you got the pleasure of meeting Bob on Sunday when you did it last week. But he's a frequent flyer of the show. I unfortunately had to be done for the season starting this past week. But Bob, glad you could join. Question: Gesicki or Ertz this week? I have him back to back in my rankings. I'm going Ertz only because New Orleans defense has been nasty, and at least Indy's not as nasty. I don't know. It's not great either way. Like, I don't love either one of them, but I have them back to back. You guys got any other answers?
I mean, it's a coin flip. I've got them both projected basically at 9 points. Give or take a little bit.
Pretty much.
I mean, if we're talking DFS wise, Hurts is 400 less.
He's talking about his lineup. I guarantee it's not DFS related. I don't think.
Find a coin, put an E on one side, put a G on the other, flip that son of a bitch, and whatever it lands on.
Yeah, man, they're 9 and 10 on my rankings. That's a tough one, man. I'm sorry to not really be able to help you, but that's literally one of those, like, just go with your gut.
Heads has an E in it. Tails has I in it. There you go.
Yeah, that's one of those.
All right. So, all right. So those were your stacks. A couple other questions here. So, like, a couple other ones. And AJ, these are yours, man. I'll let you roll with this segment.
Yeah. I mean, I do like Herbert and Allen this week. Again, It's a little pricey. Williams, I mean, if Eckler's not playing this week, there's going to be some pass heavy upside. Again, it is Houston. So the Justin Jackson was my value as well at 4,200. Any of that could work. And with Cooks going out, there's no need for a run back. I initially had Rojo as a smash play, or was that you that put him in there?
I put him in there.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
I still think he is. With all the running backs
on Sunday. When you were talking DFS, just don't play Rojo, please. Do yourself a favor.
I will not. I was like, I didn't put this here. Wait a minute.
That's me. So, sorry, man.
He will not be in the lineup that I give you to play, Joe.
Yeah. Cordero Patterson at 67. Okay. I mean, he's been pretty money all year long when he's been healthy. Mark Andrews, highest priced, 7,000. I mean,
especially with Huntley back there, man. That's hard to pass up the volume.
It's always tough to pay up at tight end.
Touchdowns were to Mark Andrews. The other two,
it's tough to pay up a tight end. Dave, all we did last year was pay up a tight end. You and me, whenever we talked, it was go get Kelsey, go get Waller. Like, you had to. So now you're finally
Kelsey's
finding
out. Waller. You don't know about,
but now we're finally finding the tight end who's getting that volume and producing with it, and you don't want to pay up for it, and it's way cheaper than what Kelsey and Waller were going for last year at this time of the year.
Either way, you didn't even hear what I said, because I said it's tough to pay up a tight end. I didn't say not to pay up a tight end.
Correct.
To pay up a tight end, that means you've got to find really good. You've got to find two value spots somewhere else. Usually we punt at tight end because that's the spot where you can get some production very, very cheaply. It's very hard to find that elsewhere. I mean, if you're playing him, then that means you're probably you're stuck playing Fields naked. Maybe you have to play Treadwell. Maybe you have to play Rojo. I mean, those are the kind of things you have to do.
You're going to be looking at some of these other guys.
I'm not opposed to that, though. I like it. I don't hate it, man.
Well, I'm not opposed to taking your money this week, so
okay.
Maybe that few $100s you save with going Cousins over Stafford somehow makes it work, but then you got a lot of value.
I mean, you're not playing Kupp and Jefferson and Andrews. So I mean,
no,
I feel like it's so prohibitive most weeks, but it depends. We'll see. I mean,
Andrews is going to be so popular this week, though. I feel like. So but in cash, that might be okay.
Yeah, but cash, anyway. I don't care about it. But yeah, I mean, if Eckler is out and you can plug Jackson in, there's a lot of ways you can get to Andrews in a COVID week. I mean, you play Fields and Jackson, and you can probably fit in Kupp, Jefferson, and Andrews if that's the route you want to take, and punt your D.
Again, this is something you said earlier. Like, you're not using all of these guys, but these are just names. This is something you said to us off air. These are just the names that kind of get our attention.
That I would smash on, somewhere.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm gonna build a lineup with Andrews somewhere. Like, if I'm one who builds multiple lineups with multiple types, Andrews is probably gonna be in a few of them. I just don't see a way not to have that happen. And the last one here is one that I threw in, AJ, and it's James Robinson, man, 5,900 against the Jets. Who, Dave, you threw the stat out before the show, and I knew it. You just said it before it. What they're averaging, the Jets are allowing how many more points to running backs on average?
I think it was 5. I think they're averaging 28 points a game to running backs. 28 points a game. And next up are the ferocious Lions at 20, almost 24.
And what's the one thing the Jags are actually good at doing? Running the ball with James Robinson.
Coaches, hiring strippers.
Yeah,
kicking kickers.
Yeah, there we go.
Damn it.
Yeah,
I know there's a reason why we did the show together, AJ. So anyway, let's move on to our fades, man. So who are some guys that you're looking at, not named Ronald Jones, that you want to? You're off no matter what the price is. You're out.
Yeah, I mean, usually that's, guys that are higher price or guys that are expected to be popular. Now, I mean, my main guy may be irrelevant because he may be out. But, I mean, for me, Austin Eckler is a guy that I don't care if he's 100% fully healthy. I wouldn't touch him.
Really?
No, man. I mean, and I'll break it down a little bit. But, I mean, all season long, I think he's been one of the most overrated guys in DFS. If I were to say, hey, Austin Eckler is top 10 in touches per game, you would go, oh, yeah, no shit he is. He's probably higher than that, right?
Yeah.
He's 16th in average touches per game.
He's been very efficient this week. I'm not going to lie.
Not what you would expect. When you think of Eckler, I mean, the reason that people want to play him is because you kind of can't game script him out, theoretically. He's obviously the number one running back. He's one of the better pass-catching running backs in the game, but he's not even in the top 15 in touches. And with Dalvin Cook out this week, he is the most expensive running back this week by a lot. He's $700 more expensive than the next, the next closest price guy.
That's what does it. But yeah,
it does. But he's too risky for me. He's not a guy that I've been on at all this season, and has never once bit me in the ass. Austin Eckler is a guy, even if fully healthy, would not touch this week.
Yeah, I think even if he comes off COVID, I'm kind of with you, only because he's also dealing with injuries. And I don't think those injuries – and you saw it even last week, right? He saw a lot of touches go to Justin Jackson, that we've never really seen that before. Like, yeah, he doesn't get the snap share as some of these other running backs, but the touches and, Justin Jackson was, really – getting involved more than we ever seen before this whole year. So yeah, I'm kind of with you on Eckler. I don't want to pay up for that. You got any more?
I mean, the only other one, and I guess we've indirectly talked about this as well, and that's Jamar Chase. Another guy that I'm not interested in this week. I think a lot of people will be interested because the last matchup against the Ravens, he had 8 catches for 201 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that's almost 40 points. Since that game, he has only averaged a little over 11 points per game, and he is a wide receiver 3 on his own team. So he's the 8th most expensive wide receiver this week. That is not a guy that I'm paying up for, especially in a matchup where, like I've said, I think that they're going to run the ball as much as they possibly can out of Mixon. And I see that being a low-scoring, hit-the-under kind of game. So I'm off on Jamar Chase.
I'm off on Chase only because I think the recent performance has not been there for him. And, as somebody like you who touts, volume, his volume is fluctuating. It's been up as high as 13 since that game at Baltimore. It's been at 8 a couple times, but it's also been down at 3 and 4 and 6. So the volume is like just all over the place, and it's hard to predict because they've got a lot of weapons on that team. And so, teams have realized after the first half of the season, like, oh, this Jamar Chase guy, he's pretty good. Maybe we should go cover him. So there's that. And then, but I do disagree with you to where I think this game's going to be a drag out in the trenches, run heavy game, because the one thing the Ravens can do is stop the run. So like if the Bengals are going to beat the Ravens, they're going to have to pass. That's what I think has to happen. So I don't know. We disagree with it there. I do agree with you on Chase, but AJ, why don't you take it away with a couple of your fades here?
Sletter's Choice.
Holy crap, are you on beer like 5?
Brooklyn Winter Pale Ale.
Hammer.
No,
you want me to finish?
No, Winter IPA. Sorry, red IPA. No, I don't want you to finish, dick. I'm trying to steal my thunder. TB12. Fade. We already talked about it. 7,400. Gronk. Fade. 6,200.
Love
See ya.
it.
Rojo. Fade. 5,100.
Yes.
Get the fuck out of here.
It's like I wrote your fades.
Stephon Diggs. 7,600. Fade. Get out. I would rather pay for any of the other guys that we already talked about. Dawson Knox, also a fade for me. 5,300, whatever. DK, we talked about at 64. Mixon, for me,
I think Dave's going to disagree with you, it sounds like.
I think he will, but it's 69. For some of these other guys that we can get, I mean, you could save $200 and get a Stafford Cup stack going on.
Well, let's
Najee Harris
go down the running back
is 7,400 fade for me. So let's go back to Mixon.
About save $100 and go get some Madison.
No, there's a humongous difference between redraft and DFS. Like I can say that if I have Joe Mixon in redraft, that I'm plugging him in. I'm going to play him, no problem, no questions asked. And then on the reversal, I can say I'm not touching him in DFS.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm not saying that I'm not going to touch Mixon, but I mean, he is projected to be, well, not too bad. He's about the 10th highest owned running back, and
that's not.
No, it's not bad, but I mean, his value. So his expected points compared to his dollar amount makes him a terrible play. So because I think that game is going to drastically hit the under. I just don't see the value in playing Mixon. So I love Mixon, and I think they're going to try to get him as many carries as possible. I just don't see the actual production hitting there for DFS purposes. It's just there's too many good values at running back for me. Basically, I mean, when you look at it, when you consider the guys, when you consider the guys that are out, Mixon actually ends up becoming the second most expensive running back on the slate.
I'm just that's really what I was looking at too, and it's like,
not happening.
Like way expensive. And
by the way,
Harris,
the Tennessee Titans just beat San Fran by 3.
That's been over on my screen.
It was like
for a while,
2 minutes ago. Relax. 10. AJ Brown balled out, by the way. So,
holy shit!
11 for 145 and a touch. Damn. I legit did not expect that. So anyway,
value plays. Okay, so we're going with Joe Burrow, 5,900. Why not? If you can get some of these other higher priced guys with your Cups, your Jeffersons, your not Joe Rojo, James Robinson, sure, why not? Burrow 5,900 is not an ugly play because you can pass on Baltimore. If you haven't watched any of the nearly 2 hours of the show, we've mentioned that a time or two. Justin Jackson, I already said 4,200 if Eckler's out. These are yours, Joe. You can.
All right. Well, real quick, we have a question specifically for Dave here. Serve 5. He's asking about the Lions' run game versus the Falcons this week. We'll break it down 30 seconds.
I mean,
Dave?
like I said earlier in the show, 4.5 weeks ago, the Lions' offensive line is healthy now, and they've got one of the better offensive lines in the game, and so that's where Craig Reynolds has had good games. So yeah, I think that's fine. And if I look here, it looks like the Falcons are giving up. Let's see, 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
4.
there it is. I love it. I'm glad you asked this question, Certified.
Yeah.
The Falcons.
So
I love it. He's a Star Wars fan. He doesn't even know it.
I definitely not. But I mean, they're giving up the 8th most
always
points
forget
to
about
running
that.
backs. So yeah, I think especially if Swift is in there. I mean, yeah, I mean it's a good matchup. So depending on
you
who's
should
in
just
there,
start calling them the Atlanta Millennium Falcons, and I'm good with it. Like we're done.
I don't even know what that means.
Don't make me waste beer. That's not a holiday gift.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, sorry. I always laugh when you say that, and
I know
it's been so long I forget. Anyway, all right. The last couple guys here I'm gonna throw in here, and look, I get it. They're not like super sexy plays, but it's a value pick, man. I still do like Antonio Brown just from a volume standpoint. I still, especially if Mike Evans is there, it might be even.
I don't know that
probably
the volume's going to be there though, Joe.
Why not? Who the hell else is they going to go to?
Rojo,
who's to say
apparently
he's healthy? You don't. Even
Everything
know
we've heard is that he's come back and he's looked good. So I just
what?
that I'm reading that he's looking like his old self.
Like I'm the volume
Which
guy,
old self?
and
'Cause there's about
I'm
6
not
of them.
playing Brown.
True. I don't know. At 4,900, I think. I mean, look, if you got to go down that far in receivers, I mean, like, Gabe Davis is down there, and that's the last one we had on the list, and we kind of gave that away earlier. But after that, man, it gets real ugly. I mean, like, there's just not a lot down there for receivers. So, like, I want to pay up a receiver, but, like, if you've got to pay down to get a third receiver, I think you can do far worse than Antonio Brown in some cases if you got to go take a dart throw. That's where that's going in my mind.
Right, but
Gabe Davis is there, too, for me.
But the problem becomes Antonio Brown is going to be one of the top 3, 4, 5 owned receivers. So even if he goes crazy, it's not like you're lapping the field.
Not gaining.
Well, so look, the way I view these, and you know this, Dave, because we talk DFS all the time on Sundays. I do cash, right? So like in a cash lineup, Antonio Brown is probably not going to kill you.
No, in a cash lineup, then you can plug him in there.
Right.
I
Look, I don't even pretend to be able to build GPPs. Like, that's a different ball game in my mind. I am not there yet. I'm looking more strictly cash. So I think Antonio Brown is definitely in play. And then again, Gabe Davis kind of rounds out my value play there. Just because, especially because we know Beasley's out, Sanders is out. I know it's a tough matchup, but Gabe Davis has been performing. Still only 4,700. That's kind of shocking that his price has not gone up. I mean, there's guys above him who I want literally nothing to do with. I mean, Kenny Galladay's still a little more expensive than him. Ooh. I cannot figure out why Kenny Galladay is 300.
Merry Christmas. Suck it, Giants.
Like, why is Kenny Galladay still expensive? I had to throw a Giants dig in there just so AJ could say that. But all right, man, Dave, we've run long. I appreciate you for hanging out and being a trooper tonight. But I blame AJ 100%. Anyway,
definitely AJ's fault. Absolutely.
But yeah, before we let you bounce and we close out the show, let everybody know where they can find you and what you got going on this season and next season, I guess. Next year, I guess,
well,
at this point.
You can. Well, I mean, if you're not following me on Twitter already, then you probably never will. So, but
say that.
If you want to, you can right there at Corporetti. But we got the DFS. Jesus, we got the Dynasty Baseball stuff kicking off pretty soon. I've got 5 different writers covering everything from prospects to dynasty strategy, you name it, it's there. So if you go to the Fantasy Six Pack site, you can go to the baseball tab, go to the dynasty tab. Obviously, you start with my rankings, and then you work your way down from there. But
obviously,
obviously. But yeah, I mean, check it out. It's never too soon if you're playing dynasty baseball. I know that you're interested in the first year player draft stuff, and my guy Jason Beckner is going to be putting out an article here before too long. We did a fantasy 6-pack mock that he's going to break down a little bit. So basically come the first of the year through, I don't know, the end of September, you're going to have 5 articles a week plus dynasty rankings and prospect rankings to check out.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Even if, honestly, even if you aren't in Dynasty, checking out those rankings sometimes gives you an insight in redraft leagues, of the players that you should be looking for who are going to get called up soon and, can make a difference right away. Everybody already knows, the top 5-10 guys who are going to get called up. Everybody knew Acuna. It's I wasn't surprised. But sometimes there's those guys in your redraft leagues that get called up, and they are major difference makers. And so those redraft rankings and the prospect rankings can give you that advantage and that insight earlier than everybody else in your league. So something else to think about.
Want me to give you one kind of name that from a dynasty perspective it's not an uncommon name, but from a redraft perspective maybe on absolutely nobody's radar, but a guy that not only has a chance to potentially break opening day, but to get called up fairly soon that isn't going to get a lot of hype. Bryson Stott from the Phillies. So just take that name. He's a guy you could get at the very end of your draft.
Here, I can't do this.
About.
AJ likes this. AJ's a Phillies fan, so he.
Okay. Well, there you go. So AJ knows that I'm not full of shit.
I don't think. Do you have any Phillies stuff back there? I don't see it.
Do I have? I'm sorry. What do I have?
You wearing any Phillies gear? I know you have Eagles stuff on.
He's got a Phillies thong on right now.
All right, whatever.
Yeah, that's right. I ran the Phillies 5K, only 5K I ever did, and I ran the whole fucking thing. No, I didn't. No, never. No, I didn't.
That's the beard. That's the beard talking.
Lie.
All right. Anyway,
but he sure as hell drove it though one day.
Yeah, I killed a lot of runners in that.
Google mapped it.
Thing.
No,
you don't want a Google satellite that. It's just red. It's ugly. But Merry Christmas.
All right, let's try to close this out before the 2-hour mark actually hits, because good Lord, nobody's gonna actually listen to this show. All right, Dave, thank you for coming on, man. It was a great time, and we'll have to do it again, man. Peace out.
Merry Christmas, Dave.
All right, AJ, I don't want to ask you if you have anything else to add, because I'm afraid it'll be like a 20-minute
I don't know. I don't know. Aloysius.
Right. So we're good. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody. Go Hokies. They almost beat Duke last night. Man, it was such a close game, by the way. I'm so sad. What the hell are you doing? All right. I'm done. Been a long show.
Congrats. Great career. Be gone.
We'll be back next week for Fantasy Football Final Week. It's the final. Study up, people. Peace.